This episode is sponsored by Dr. Chrono by EverHealth, the #1 mobile all-in-one EHR. Built specifically for medical practices, Dr. Chrono includes an integrated feature that powers a seamless payments acceptance experience. Dr. Chrono Payments offers multiple ways for patients to pay as well as insurance credit card processing. As a Dr. Chrono customer, you can easily activate our fully integrated payment solution that will streamline your cash flow and help you get paid anytime from anywhere. Deliver the best patient experience with a fast and easy way to collect payments. Visit drchrono.com/payments. That's drchrono.com/payments to learn more about Dr. Chrono today. Direct primary care is an innovative, alternative path to insurance-driven healthcare. Typically, a patient pays their doctor a low monthly membership and, in return, builds a lasting relationship with their doctor and has their doctor available at their fingertips. Welcome to the My DPC Story podcast, where each week you will hear the ever-so-relatable stories shared by physicians who have chosen to practice medicine in their individual communities through the direct primary care model. I'm your host, Marielle Conception, family physician, DPC owner, and former fee-for-service doctor. I hope you enjoy today's episode and come away feeling inspired about the future of patient care, direct primary care. Hey there, my DPC Story listeners. After the wonderful feedback we got about our Mother's Day episode, we have made a compilation where you get to hear from DPC Dr. Dads as we celebrate Father's Day. Enjoy!
Hey, my name is Dr. Anand Mehta. I'm a medical doctor. I practice at Stand Up Family Medicine, which is located in Marietta, Georgia. I've been open since October 2020, and things are going great so far as we are approaching our third year. So since opening my practice as a father, I have been more present. I have been doing a lot more with my kids than I ever could have done at my old job when I worked for the hospital system and in the corporate system. I coach my son's baseball team for the last couple of years. I attend a lot of my kids' activities, like my daughter's recital, my son's flag football game. I get home and I want to do stuff with the kids. So if the kids want to throw the baseball around or throw the football around, or my daughter wants to play with Barbies with me, full disclosure, it doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen. I'm more than happy to do it, and I feel like I have the energy to do it. I'm not as grumpy anymore when my kids ask me for things or ask for my attention. I think that since starting the practice, I'm just a lot more involved with my kids, happy to be with my kids. I think also as a father, the responsibilities in the house on where I can help my wife with things, they've improved because my time at home has improved. I grew up in a family that my parents never really had the time to attend things that I did, whether it was high school basketball practice or games, tennis. I was in acting and theater. They never really attended much of anything. And I hated it, and I always wanted to be there and present for my kids. But while I was working as a physician early on in my career, I could never have the time or the opportunity to do it because the job consumed me. That doesn't happen anymore. And so I think DPC has enhanced the opportunity to be a father and a dad and be more present for my kids. And I love every minute of it. And these kids are only young for so long. If you lose that time, you never get it back. And so timing wise, I think while my kids were at a younger age and obviously want more of their father around, I think it was a prime time to take the jump and start the direct primary care practice. And everything I was hoping for as far as the work-life balance has come true. Some days are harder than others, for sure. Sometimes I have to hop on a phone call in the middle of something. It's not often, but I'm willing to take that sacrifice for what it's given me back. So advice for dads who are looking to do direct primary care. I could easily just say, just do it because it's awesome and it's fulfilling and it's the best experience I've had as a physician, but it's not that easy. The advice I would tell you, honestly, is if you are currently at your position and you're unhappy, if you come home and it's late and the kids are maybe going to bed within an hour, you hardly talk to them. You don't really engage with your wife much. You're tired, you're cranky, you're irritable, you're moody. You feel that maybe you need a drink or two and you call it a day. You're on your computer till the middle of the night doing notes. You're miserable. You don't feel like you can attend any of your kids' activities during the day. You can't pick them up from school if they need something. You just feel helpless. Okay. That would be my big push into you trying to look into direct primary care. I'm not saying it's for everybody. I know it's very difficult to have the courage to do something new and become a solo business owner and an entrepreneur and a physician to run your own practice. It is hard. It is not for everyone. But if all of those things that I mentioned are relevant to you, then why not? Life is about choices and life is about taking chances. Maybe it works out. And if it does, then a lot of those previous things I mentioned aren't on the plate anymore. They become easier to balance your work and your life together. You can surprise your kids at the bus stop. You can be involved in their activities. You can volunteer for camps. You can play with your kids in the backyard while it's daylight. You can just be present. And what's the worst that can happen? If it does not work out and your practice does go under, yes, you lost some money. You gained some time because you did get time back, and time is worth a lot. Not for everybody, but for me it was. But if it doesn't work out, you can always go back, and if you're unhappy at your current job, then you needed to leave anyway. Maybe there's a better opportunity out there. But if you took the opportunity to be on your own and have the independence of picking your own schedule, choosing your own time off, choosing who works with you, choosing your patients, etc., then it was worth it. For the dads who already are in DPC, what are you doing that's different? And if it's not enough, then make some changes, because this is the opportunity to do it. If you always said, I wish I could take my son out for a day and go to a restaurant or do an activity with him, then do it. If you wanted to volunteer for something at the kids' school, do it. If you wanted to take the kids on a vacation and was thinking that maybe you didn't have enough time to do it, maybe you do now. So I know direct primary care is hard, and I know it involves a lot of time and effort, and you want to be there for your patients, but your patients will understand. Please take the time to be a father, to be involved in your kids' lives. And if you tell the patients that, they will be very kind and compassionate to that request, and they actually encourage it. Also, anything, I have younger kids, if they draw something and it says dad, or it says something and it just strikes you and it really hits the heart, put it up in your office. It's your office. You can do that. Take them to the office. Let them see what you do. Talk about it. Let them talk to patients. Let them engage your family and let some of your patient family meet each other, because they love it. They want to know that you're human and you have a life and you have a personality and you're a father. And I think it's good for everybody to be on the same page with that. So best advice is get your kids involved in your practice, do things that you didn't have time to do before, and make the best of your opportunity. Enjoy life. Okay? It's only once. Thanks.
Hi, this is Vance Lassie. I am in Holton, Kansas. I'm going on my 8th year in direct primary care. I am an MD, and I'm also the president of the Direct Primary Care Alliance. Wow, this is one of those questions that actually could probably make me pretty emotional. The question is, how does DPC affected the way I'm able to be a dad? And as so many other dads in direct primary care will tell you, we are way better at it once we are self-employed in the direct primary care model. Whenever I was working on the inside, I rarely got home before 10 or 11, 12 o'clock at night. My kids were always in bed. I missed supper. I missed sporting events. I missed games. I missed school stuff. I mean, I was a missing in action dad, quite frankly. Now, instead of missing my kids' games, I'm coaching the team, and I never miss a game. And that's just the sports, but it goes on and on. I can help with homework. I can do things, go to daddy-daughter dances, all of it. And I'm a much better person because I'm a much better dad. So I couldn't do it without this model. There was just no way to get that free, but still be able to care for my patients in the right manner whenever I was on the inside. So it's one of the main reasons, if arguably the main reason, that I'm so glad I made this change. So if you're looking to do DPC, it's the best reason to do DPC. You can be so much more of a present father, and your kids and your relationship with them will thank you for it until the end of time. So definitely do it. With regard to docs who are already in DPC, I think most of you dads have already figured it out. But obviously what I'm figuring out now, both of my kids are now in high school, is that the years just fly by. And it's not that hard with DPC to set up your schedule so that you can be there for them when you need to be for their events or whatever it might be. So take the time, because before you know it, they're definitely going to just disappear. So, also get your kids to follow you. My daughter cannot wait to be my partner someday. So that's the other big benefit is in DPC, we love our jobs and we encourage our kids to become physicians, where when we were on the inside, as you may have seen in the talk I gave at the summit last year, actively encouraged my children not to follow me into medicine until after I became a DPC doc. So that's the other cool thing about it.
Hey, it's Dr. Shane Purcell coming to you from Anderson, South Carolina at Direct Access. Been doing DPC for about 7 years now. Loving it after doing primary care and urgent care for about 15 years or so on my own. And I'm really enjoying the DPC ride so far. The cool thing about being a dad with direct primary care is it's just allowed me to have more freedom to leave the office when I need to. Obviously, usually have weekends off to take call 24/7. We can do that pretty much from anywhere in the country. As long as I got a phone and access to internet, I can help patients wherever I'm at and wherever they're at. So it's been a really good experience. When I had my urgent care, I was pretty much there or had to be available 7 days a week. We're dealing with insurances and sometimes staying 7, 8 o'clock at night trying to deal with patients and different insurance and paperwork. A lot of different direct primary care, usually done by 5 home, hanging out with kids, hanging out with my wife, spending time with pets. So it's just allowed me more flexibility, be able to make it to kids' games, to be a part of their lives a lot easier, way less stress on me too. So direct primary care has really made a huge difference as for being a dad. So hopefully guys out there can hear this and make the case for moving forward direct primary care so you can get back to being a dad again. If you're a dad and you're family medicine, primary care of any sorts, and you're considering DPC, I would say get off the fence and go ahead and do it. You're wasting your time in the system. You're losing time with your family. You're losing time with your friends. You're losing time with your kids. You'll never get it back. You're going to turn around and your kids are going to be gone. So I would just jump now. Don't wait. The cost really for your family is just too high. You got to figure out how to make a budget and just do it. If you're already doing DPC, you probably know this already because it's made a huge difference in your life. So while you're doing DPC, carve out time for your family. Just set your outlines, set your day, put it in your schedule. Hey, I'm done at 5. Just make it happen. Carve out days where you're just not there. You're going to spend time with your family. Just make that part of your routine because you're a DPC doctor now and you can do that and you should do that and take care of the things that really matter long term.
Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thank you to Spruce Health for supporting the My DPC Story podcast. The ways we communicate have changed dramatically over the past decades, but technology and tools in healthcare have not kept pace. Patients want more access and digital convenience, as well as the ability to text their care teams. Care teams are inundated with more communication and rising expectations, but are still using tools and technology stuck in prior decades. Spruce Health created a solution for the tech-forward DPC practice by creating a communication product designed to serve both the patient and the doctor through intuitive HIPAA-compliant workflows, tagging, scheduled messages, and triage templates ready for use, whether you're on your phone or in the exam room. New users get 20% off for the first 12 months of a paid plan with code MARYAL20. That's MARYAL20. So check out Spruce Health today at sprucehealth.com or check out the link in the show notes.
Hello, this is Scott Harden, MD. I am in the process of starting Freedom Lifestyle Medicine, which is a direct care lifestyle medicine practice in Louisville, Kentucky. For the last 11 years, I've practiced as an anesthesiologist, and I have 3 awesome kids that are age 8, 10, and 12. And over the last decade, I have repeatedly sought to be living a better lifestyle and be living more of a life that enabled me to be the father that I wanted to be. And I finally came to realize that that kind of life that I sought. It was just not possible within the broken third-party payer system. So I'm now excited about starting a direct care practice and very eager to start seeing patients in the next couple of weeks. Of course, it's so early in my DPC journey that I can only answer to how direct care is going to affect the way I'm able to be a dad. And I know from hearing from so many direct care doctors that what it will give me is ownership of my life again, ownership of my schedule, of the ability to not have to miss a major tournament that my kids are competing in, or to not have to put my kids to bed and have them say, "Daddy, are you going to be gone all day to work again tomorrow and I won't get to see you until the next day?" So I know that it will enable me to be a lot more of the father that I have always wanted to be. So I'm so early in this process that I can't give much specific advice to docs who want to start a DPC practice or to dads who are in DPC. The advice that I have just comes from life experience, and that is to never fail to appreciate just what it is that you bring to the table. You got high marks in college, you made it through medical school, you made it through residency. Those are things that not only can most people not do, but most people can't even understand how difficult that was, how many sacrifices we had to make, the depth of those sacrifices that we made getting through that. And importantly, what all of that shows is that you have the wherewithal and you have what you need to succeed at just about anything that you want to endeavor in life. So whatever it is that you want your life to look like, whatever it is that you want your role as a father to look like, whatever it is that you want your practice to look like, go make it that way. A lot of people spend a lot of time working and waiting for vacation. And I say, go build a life that you don't need a vacation from. For me, something that is incredibly important and perhaps especially appropriate at Father's Day is the truth that 20 years from now, if I work very long hours, the only people who will remember that are my children. So I'm ensuring that I can be where I want to be when I want to be there. And the last thing I would say is I love how direct care is fixing our broken system. And I want to salute all of my fellow direct care docs for leading us into the future of a better medical system, where we once again own our own lives and where we can practice without the undue shackles of third-party payers and of administrators who tell us when we must work, what we must do, and all of the bad influences of administrators and the third-party system. So hats off to you, fellow direct care docs, and I'm excited about what direct care is doing for medicine.
My name is Ryan Brang. I'm an MD, and I am about 8 months in to my DPC practice. Direct primary care has affected the way I've been able to be a father and my family life way more than I would have ever expected. Prior to this, I was working as a hospitalist and doing obstetrics and full spectrum family medicine as a faculty at a residency program. I was on call many weekends, many nights. There was rarely time that I was attending events with kids, and if I did, it was a rarity. And what I've recognized having my weekends and evenings back, as I'm able to have a lot more time with my kids, and it's time that you just don't get back, and it's undervalued and underappreciated until you really get the opportunity to sit down and appreciate it. I guess the biggest thing is the time during the day. There's been a couple events this year where I've been able to block my schedule and go to a program at the kids' elementary school and watch them, for example, at the Christmas concert. And it's just something I've never been able to do before, taking a couple days out in the middle of the day to go see my kids at school and just seeing their faces when they see me in the audience. And it's just a tremendous amount of pride. And I'm just really happy that my life has changed in a way to allow me to experience these really meaningful moments that I haven't had the opportunity to take part in before. My advice for other dads who are looking into direct primary care as a practice model is really think about what you're trying to get out of your career. What are you trying to get out of your life? If you're hustling away in your traditional model and it's wearing you down, but you're really happy and you're happy with where you are, well, then don't make any changes. But I think that a lot of us are not, and that's certainly what drove me into direct primary care. You have to decide where your priorities are. And for me, my priorities were having a great quality of life, spending quality time with my family, living comfortably, and really getting the opportunity to make a difference in the lives of patients. And the patients that I take care of, they know that I'm a better doctor because I have the opportunity to be a better dad. And I actually take more time for myself and for my family. And because of that, I'm bringing way more into work to provide them the care. And I'm happy to do it. And I'm engaged and I'm motivated. And they sense that and they feel that. And that makes me a better doctor. By being a better dad, I become a better doctor to my patients.
Hi, this is Dr. Michael Lovelace, owner of Derby City Direct Primary Care. I have been open for 3 years now. When you're trying to be a physician and a father, the biggest benefit that direct primary care offers is the ability to control your schedule. Since I run my own practice, I get to set when my clinic starts. I also get to block time if there are school events that I want to go to. And I also get to close my clinic when I want to so that I can pick up my kids from school if needed. What advice would I have for those dads already in direct primary care? This was given to me by some dads who worked in business and, their kids are already grown up. My kids are 4 and 7, so they're still pretty young. The advice that was given to me was that you want to make sure that you don't focus solely on growing your business at the expense of missing out on your kids growing up. As a business owner, we all know that you're never really done. There's always something more that you can be working on, whether it's improving your website or coming up with a new product. But you really need to take advantage of the opportunity that direct primary care gives you, which allows you to control your schedule and set aside time to be with your family and enjoy the opportunities that you only get once when they're young. So what advice would I have for dads who are looking to do direct primary care? The good news is you get to control your schedule. You can set aside time to spend more time with your kids. You can bring your kids into the office. They can become part of your practice, helping around the office. And so you actually get to create memories and experiences with your kids. The challenge of being a direct primary care doctor is you don't have a regular paycheck coming in, and your ability to provide for your family is dependent upon having a successful direct primary care practice. And that can cause a lot of stress. But with planning and execution and getting a lot of help from a lot of other direct primary care doctors, it can be done and has been done many times where folks have transitioned from insurance-based practice or directly from residency and started their own direct primary care practice.
My name is Matthew Mintz. I'm an internal medicine and primary care physician, and I have been in practice, or I've been with my DPC for 6 years. Prior to that, I had a 20-year career in academic medicine. So I think there are a number of reasons why people choose to go into DPC. And from the dad perspective, I would say the straw that broke the camel's back, the thing that really pushed me over the edge was, in fact, my children. Again, I was in practice in academic medicine for 20 years, so I did this a little bit later in my career than most. And at the end of the day, while there are lots of reasons for me wanting to leave what many probably would have considered a very successful career, was the fact that my older daughter, who was about to go into college, wanted a specific program to go into. And the state school, which I could afford, and my academic institution, which I could afford, did not have those programs. And so the programs that she wanted to go to were not any ones that I could afford on my academic medicine salary. Mind you, I'd already been doing concierge medicine. In the last 4 years, I was a dean at the medical school. So even though I was a dean at the medical school and a concierge physician, I was still making less than the average primary care physician across the country and living in a very high cost of living area. And because of that, my finances were not that good, and I did not have the kind of funds that I needed to send my kid to school. And that was just not something that I could live with. So again, there were a lot of reasons why I wanted to change course, but that was probably the straw that broke the camel's back, because I loved my job. I hated my commute. I hated my salary. There were certainly some political things that I didn't like being in academics, but I love the patients. I love the students and the residents and my colleagues. And I probably stayed there a little bit too long. And I think it was my children, or, my children's needs that ultimately made me take the leap. So for other dads, my reason, like I mentioned, was mostly financial, but for the younger dads, that may not be something that you're considering. That being said, I would say that, one of the things that I've really loved about DPC is control my salary, control my time, and allowing me to put what I think are priorities. Now, I think that, through the 20 years that I was not in DPC while my kids were growing up, I think I was a pretty present dad, and I tried to be very involved in my kids' activities. But now, knowing what I know now, things I think would have been a lot different had I had, started this sooner and gotten some of the time that I have. I'm so thankful for the extra time that I have to, divert to medical non-career things. And it's been great and it's been wonderful. But, now my kids, my oldest that I mentioned before, she's now graduated college, and my youngest has finished her first year of college. So much of the time that I was in my DPC, kids were already away. So, I wish I had some of that time back a little bit to spend with them. And family really is important, and time is really important. And so your kids need you, and they need you to produce and support them, but they also need your time and to be there. And while I believe I did pretty well in my academic career to do that and be there for them, to be there to support them and be around them, I know that I probably wasn't as present as I could have been had I been doing DPC. So there's nothing more important than family. There's nothing more important than your kids. And you might think, well, I'm not worth the salary. I don't need that much more money, or, it's not that bad. But if you look at your time and how you manage that and how your time is pressed in the insurance-based world for a variety of reasons, know that DPC will solve that problem. Not entirely, because DPC, it's not like it's a cakewalk, but you will have control and you'll be able to set those priorities a lot better and be able to be with your family and be with your kids. And to me, that's something that's really important. And, I'm thankful for the extra time that I have now. I wish I had some of that extra time maybe a few years earlier.
Stay with us. We'll be right back. Have you tried an AI scribe in your clinic? Well, I've tried so many, and I can say Heidi Health is the best AI scribe I have come across thus far. With Heidi Health, I can create unlimited customizable templates for my notes to help me truly cut down on the time I'm spending charting. Template for pediatric well child check? Done. Template for weight loss management? Done. Some of my favorite things I've built into my AI template, beyond the general soap note, are having a list of actionables for our team to take after a patient visit, having the diagnoses listed, and creating an after-visit summary for our patients. Not only have I found Heidi Health to be the most helpful, customizable AI scribe so far, it's also more affordable than most out there. So try Heidi Health today and see how you can harness the power of an AI scribe for your practice. To get an entire month of Heidi Pro free, go to the homepage of mydpcstory.com and click on the Heidi Health ad.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Kyle Hampton. I am a co-founder of Arctos Direct Care in Fort Collins, Colorado, with my wife, physician Dr. Ida Yavario. We are almost through our 5th year of direct primary care at Arctos. We do a lot of different stuff. We do direct primary care, regenerative medicine, aesthetic medicine, and also osteopathic manipulation. We are about to open our 2nd clinic in a couple weeks. Right now, it's myself and Dr. Yavari for primary care, and we are adding a pediatrician this fall. And then also in a couple of weeks, when the new clinic opens, Dr. Kelly Weiner will be joining us. She's an anesthesiologist that also does aesthetic medicine, so she'll be coming over to join us for aesthetic medicine. Our 2nd office is slated to open June 12th, I believe, is when we're going to first start seeing patients there. So we're really excited about that. We're kind of at that point right now in our 5th year where things really seem like they're getting a lot more efficient and clicking into place. And then, feel like we know what we're doing now. It's starting to grow and expand and everything. So we're really excited about that. So what has being a dad in DPC meant to me? And I think this is really important because at least for me, this is one of the reasons why I really wanted to do DPC and sort of start my own, is because it kind of gives you that pride in doing something that your kids can be a part of. We have two little ones, Tegan and Bear, and actually our clinic is Greek for bear. So he definitely feels like he has a little ownership in the clinic, and it's about him. And really, it is about our kids. You know, it was about spending more time with them and having the ability to do things that we want to do with the kids, more time in the afternoons, more time after school, whatever it ends up being, you know, and I think they both really take pride in it. They like knowing like, hey, this is our parents' clinic. This is what they do. And they'll often stop by the clinic after school with mom, Dr. Vari, after she picks them up. And they'll pretend like they're answering phones or that they're seeing patients or whatever they're doing. They kind of follow in our footsteps around the clinic, which is really fun to see. But really, you know, what DPC affords is more time with your kids and more time to actually be a dad, which is great. You know, now I've been able to go on field trips with the kids' school and help out in coaching basketball with my son and doing more things with their after school activities, whether it's Bears and Ninja Camp or Tegan's violin recitals, whatever it is. It's nice to be able to just be like, you know what, today we're closing early because the kids have something to do. And it really feels nice to be able to do that and do something for yourself and your family at the same time, knowing that, you know, you're not neglecting any patients because your members and your patients understand that you're a dad and family comes first. It's just a really fulfilling feeling knowing that. So it's kind of great. It's a nice side to DPC and managing and running your own clinic that gives many benefits and makes being a dad a whole lot more fulfilling. For those dads that are looking at this and thinking this may be something you want to do, just do it. Make the decision and really start working on it. There's no perfect time to open a DPC clinic, but really the time is now or the time was yesterday. Like just get started and get going on it. It's definitely fulfilling, and it's something that there's never going to be a right time of whether it's financially correct or correct for your patients, whatever it is. You just have to take that first step and then get rolling on it. And so I really encourage you to look into it and look into what your community needs and actually just get started. Like pick a date and be like, this is when we're opening, and do what you need to do to make that happen. Come up with your reasons why. Like, what is it that I want to do? Is it I want more family time? I want better quality care for my patients or better quality of life for yourself? But whatever it is, come up with those reasons and stick to your guns on that and make it something that's fulfilling and achieves those goals for yourself. And for those dads that are in DPC, and whether you're in your first year or your 10th year, remember those reasons on why you started and what was important then and what's important now and why you're doing what you're doing. Like right now with us starting our second clinic and growing, I've kind of had to come back to where we got started, why we opened direct primary care and what were the reasons. And I still listen to a lot of 90s music and then 2000s music, and there's a White Stripes song that comes on called Little Room. And it's basically about, you know, you got started in this little room and things got successful and all of a sudden you needed this bigger room and it got a little more crazy, but you have to come back to what you did in that little room and why you started that little room and what made that so great. And I think in DPC, like, it's easy to get caught up in you need to see more or you need to be more of something, whatever it is for your patients. But there's a reason you started direct primary care. And typically those reasons, you know, are better patient access, more time for ourselves and more time for our patients and more time for our family. And those things are going to be important whether you have 50 members or 1,000 members. So what drove patients to your direct primary care, those reasons are never going to change. And those are typically the same reasons why we started. And that's, you know, better patient access, more personalized care, cost savings, all those things. Like you can provide those same qualities in your practice, whether you're just starting and you have hours with patients or whether you're like us starting your second and you're trying to provide more access for more patients and, you know, actually saving some providers from the giant system that we all were in or we're trying to avoid. So that doesn't change whether you're, like I said, in your first year or your 10th year. So remember your reasons why. And for a lot of us, that is family. And that's what this whole Father's Day thing is about. It's being a father. And that doesn't change whether I'm in my third patient or my 300th patient. So just always sort of stick to your guns and stick to remembering why you did what you did when you started your direct primary care. or the reasons why you're about to start your direct primary care, and write those down and look at them every once in a while, because it truly makes a huge difference and sort of recenters yourself. And for me, that's important. So when I'm stressed or when I'm thinking like, man, what are we doing? Like this gets a little crazy at times. When I go back and look at, what we wrote as our first mission statement or what's on our website about why we chose direct primary care, those things still ring true today. It's good to come back to those. So for all you fathers out there looking at DPC or, in your 8th, 9th, 10th year of DPC, keep doing what you're doing. It's important to all of us and it's important to your family. And just go back and look at those. Thanks a lot for all that. And Marielle, thanks for putting this together for all the dads out there for Father's Day.
I'm an MD. I'm currently in New Braunfels, Texas, and I am 10 months into a DPC practice here. I did not start my own practice. I joined an existing practice out of Austin who opened a new location, and I'm the only doctor there currently at our New Braunfels location, and I'm loving it. By the prompt here, doing like a Father's Day special thing, because honestly, probably the biggest reason that I joined a DPC practice rather than the typical practice is I really wanted to have time and flexibility to be the best dad and husband that I could be, because those are commitments that I made before medical school. In the case of my marriage, or in the case of my son, that's a relationship that he didn't ask for and I decided to create. And so I really feel like I owe him my time and my best as a father. I have a lot more flexibility with my schedule to be around him and to help take care of him. So like, for example, on Tuesdays, I come home for 2.5 hours in the middle of the day, step away from the practice and come home and watch him so that my wife can go to an appointment or have time to herself. And so that he and I can have a fun lunch and go on a little adventure and run to the park. And that's just such a highlight of my week every week that it just reminds me so much why I decided to do DPC. In DPC, I'd tell them to make the leap and do it. Our time is our most valuable resource, far more than money. DPC arguably is like financially much more beneficial in the long run than a job with a guaranteed salary, but I know stepping away from the guaranteed salary position can be scary financially, but man, our time it's worth way more than the money. And having that flexibility and the less time in the office and more time at home is just absolutely priceless. I don't really want to do medicine any other way than this. I don't really have a lot of advice for other dads already doing DPC. I feel like they figured it out and they're probably farther into the DPC journey than I am. I'm only 10 months in. But yeah, I just have that advice for the new dads, or not the new dads, but the dads thinking about DPC. Just go for it. Take the leap and do it. Your time is worth it.
I am Dr. Vasanth Kankuriam of 4 Elements Direct Primary Care and Wellness Space in Connecticut. I'm about 3.5 years into my direct primary care practice. I think going into starting my own practice and having 3 daughters, it's been really amazing to see their skills develop. My kids are very involved in the practice marketing anytime we're doing any fairs on social media. And I've noticed that they're actually beginning to think out of the box themselves, particularly the older one. She is developing an amazing skill set, wants to have her own business, tries to pretend to have her own business. And it's really been amazing as a dad to see how your kids model some of that behavior, how they look up to you to say, here's what I can do as well, and how they try to enact that, but also how they come up with ideas, right? So oftentimes it's been really cool to brainstorm and ask my kids, hey, what do you think? And they come up with amazing ideas. So for me, one of the great things has been not only having them get involved in the business, but also seeing how they grow as kids and really sort of foster that female entrepreneur spirit. And I'm super excited to see what the kids end up doing. I think one piece of advice I'd have is to really figure out what you want from your life and your work-life balance. Oftentimes it's interesting. I think, at least for me, I started off wanting a lot more flexibility. And then as I saw that my kids were learning from my own experience, I actually gave up some of that flexibility to be able to continue to model that behavior. And it's fascinating because your kids learn from you. And I think there's really no right answer, right? If you want to have a lot more time at home with your kids, that's totally fine. If you want your kids to be a part of your practice and for them to see what you're doing and how you're pushing yourself and having them be a part of that, that's okay too. So the cool part about this is that you choose what you want and how you want to do it.
Next week, look forward to hearing from Dr. Nasser Mohammed of Osra Medical in San Francisco, California. If you've enjoyed the podcast and you haven't yet done so, subscribe today and share the episode with a physician you may know who needs to hear about DPC. Leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify now as well, as it helps others to find all these DPC stories. Lastly, be sure to follow us on social media. If you're wanting to continue learning more about DPC in the meantime, check out dpcnews.com. Until next week, this is Marielle Concepcion.